Imagenesis, a concept unique to Planarcadia and the basis of how this world of elation works. Walking through the streets of this planet, it is impossible to miss the various species of Imagenae that populate Planarcadia. However, little did we know that our longtime companion and the navigator of the Astral Express would be a product of Imagenesis, which forces us to rethink everything we know about Himeko now that we know that there was a second one. Or in fact, the one that we always knew was the second one, because there was a human Himeko that has since supposedly died of the weathering curse. However, I'm not so sure, because according to the evidence that I have found, I think what our Himeko is turns out to be something entirely different from a normal Imagenae. Something we have seen before and teased from the very beginning of our journey through Planarcadia. I gave a preview of this theory back in the 4.3 recap, and now I am here to give you my full thoughts on what I am convinced Himeko is. So without further ado, this is the full evolution of Himeko revealed. But first, later today, I'm going live with none other than the esteemed lore master herself, Ashikai, at 6 p.m. EST to talk about Star Rail lore. But just in case you can't make it or missed it, I have a Clips channel with everything you need right there. Also, the nice number is very close, just acknowledging the elephant here. On to the video. Okay, so first off, I am sorry, this is going to be one of my more complicated theories. There is just no way for me to put what I'm about to say in a simple way. But I think that I figured out what exactly Murata Himeko is. But before I make my claim, I want to say that this goes all the way back to 4.0 and when March says this.
Oh, right. After a few trailblazing expeditions, I've totally figured it out. The first person we meet at every stop is somehow involved in some earth-shattering secret. So when the door opens, keep your eyes peeled.
Now, what kind of theorist would I be if I didn't pay special attention to this? But through us meeting Sparkle disguised as Xandar, being a precursor to her struggling to defeat her own creation that went rogue and became a better her than she was, which is the exact problem that Xandar was dealing with involving Noose, the perfected Xandar, Xandar being Sparkle, Noose being Sparksy. There is more to this than what was teased here. Yes, this does sound like a perfect bit of foreshadowing, but there is more. Actually, a lot more, because oh my god, everyone becoming Sparksy is just everyone becoming Shuhu. That's the same thing. Shuhu pulled a Sparksicon and nobody noticed. How do we all miss that? But back on topic, because during this story, we saw a concept that is rare in Imagenesis, a self-portrait. You see, Sparkle created Sparksy in her own image with the goal in mind of her being her so that she could stream without being physically present. But due to the Phantasmoon games and the abundance of wish power flowing throughout the world, Sparksy developed her own consciousness and became what she is now. And because of Sparksy's dedication to being entertaining and limitless, she freed herself from the natural morality and human limitations that Sparkle has, and in fact called her the old model, all too human.
I shed that old mask, and with it, the weak, timid, all too human me.
Which allowed her to be more Sparkle than Sparkle was.
Ha! As if there's anything Miss Sparkle wouldn't dare to do.
And after beating her up, absorbed her into herself. Now, this is the important part, because the very fact that a self-portrait has the ability to absorb its artist casts a new light on Himeko, because I believe that this fused state of an Imagenae crossed with the human is what she is. Because Himeko's existence has a ton of questions surrounding it. Because we know full well that when a fool dies, the mask is already greatly weakened.
Generally, when a fool vanishes, their mask loses its power and becomes a dead thing. You're two sides of the same coin, after all.
And this likely works similarly for the artist in their Imagenae. Now, this isn't confirmed, but it would make a lot of sense if this is the way that it works. So if the real Himeko is dead, but the Imagenae is living on as healthy as ever, there is a problem here. Not to mention the fact that Himeko has been away from Planarcadia for 15 years without wish power and shows absolutely no signs of needing it for survival, and that much is confirmed. And on top of all of this, she can perform Imagenesis by recreating the World Breaker Waves painting and controlling it, something Imagenae can't do because they can't reproduce.
Which reproduce by having artists draw their offspring.
They can break Imagenae, but they can't recreate them. We learn this in the Millennium Killer Quest. Frankenstein Imagenae, long story. But anyway, Imagenae cannot recreate each other or create other Imagenae, so if Himeko was normal, I can't see her being able to fix the painting, or even summoning this giant mech, unless it was already there, but I highly doubt it. Because that would cause even more problems, like how she fit this giant mech in this school. But what I mean here is that Imagenae have established rules that they live by and determine whether they exist or not, along with what they can do. So if Himeko is an Imagenae, she is not a normal one. But all of this would make perfect sense if she was fused with a human. Why? Well, because humans do not need wish power to live. If the human Himeko was fused with her imaginated self, she wouldn't age and the weathering curse would not affect her, due to her body being an ageless imitation of a human body. Remember, Imagenae do not have bones or organs, but if you look for them, they do. They aren't real, they just look real. So if her organs and such aren't real, they can't weather and thus she stays alive. So she benefits from being part human and not needing wish power to live, and also benefits from being part Imagenae by not being able to weather away and die. But Nova, why would Himeko want to fuse with herself? Well, consider this. If a terminally ill person was slowly dying and becoming a shell of themselves, what would they do? Pour every ounce of their hopes and dreams into a being and breathe all the life they could into them, creating an idealized second self or a self-portrait. And I believe that this was the purpose of the imaginated Himeko's entire existence. Serve as the vessel in which Himeko's trailblazing dreams could reside, but also Himeko herself. Because when you think about when the imaginated Himeko came into existence, everything lines up. This was after Ryusuke left her, but before she finished fixing the Express. Remember, the only reason why her fake father found out her secret was because he looked through her manuscripts and saw both of their different handwritings. And odds are she learned Imagenesis and how to paint from Graphia Academy. So when the imaginated Himeko came into existence, the human Himeko had to be in about her teenage years and had found the Express for herself, but also just started to feel the effects of the weathering curse, because if they die by 30, she's middle-aged at that point. And I'd say that she had to have found the Express at this time due to our Himeko's life being entirely tied to trailblazing. So knowing that she had passed the midway point in her life, but had the goal in mind that she wanted to accomplish just after learning how to paint from Graphia Academy, what is Himeko to do? The only thing she could do: make another self, an adult self that she would want to grow into, but she would never live long enough to be. And as the years went on and Himeko grew weaker, her self-portrait would become more of her than she was. And odds are, Himeko also saw this as the case, because as she weathered away, so did her will to see the beyond. But this creation of hers embodied who she wanted to be, so they merged together and a miracle happened. Himeko never died, because the two became one. So the grave that Himeko made for herself is empty, even though the human is very much gone. And just like she said before, she didn't know if she would see tomorrow, and odds are she didn't know if fusing with her creation would even work. But what I am relatively sure of is that it did. They are fused now, and the proof of this is in the memories they share. You see, there is absolutely no reason for Himeko to remember back when she was 6 years old. There is no reason for her to remember what Ryusuke told her about people and be able to recite it by heart, because the imaginated Himeko didn't exist yet. See? She either didn't exist or wasn't there. The only way for the self-portrait Himeko and the human Himeko to share memories is for them to fuse into each other. They are one being and one mind now. But through all of this, there remains one question. How could she figure out that she could fuse with her self-portrait? Well, here is where Graphia comes in. Because Himeko says that she promised to meet an old friend, and that old friend is a she. Just kidding, I've got more proof, because Graphia confirmed to us where exactly the Express crashed, in the world in Canvas. So if Himeko found the Express for herself, she was in the world in Canvas, and if she often went there to work on fixing the train, of course she would run into her ancestor and fellow Trailblaze enthusiast, Graphia. So in my honest opinion, Graphia clearly knew about Himeko, and also undoubtedly taught her more things about Imagenesis. But here's where things are about to get crazy. Because I admit, this is where things go off the deep end a little bit, but stay with me here. I think this is how she claims to see the Express crash. Now, clearly we know that the Express crashed way before she was born in the Cinderth Age. So there is no way that she saw the real Express crash. Unless when she made the trip to the world in Canvas, she saw Graphia's attempt at fixing the Express herself, and she was unsuccessful, resulting in the crashing train that she saw with no nameless inside. And when she checked it out, she met Graphia. They bonded, and she taught her all that she could, including how to make a self-portrait and the possibilities behind it, along with telling her all of the secrets behind the World Breaker Waves painting, leading Himeko to return home, create a self-portrait, and return to the world in Canvas, where the imaginated Himeko would also find the train already crashed. Human Himeko was introducing her self-portrait to what her life purpose would be. That explains both of the stories that we see in her dialogue. The first Himeko saw the Express crash, but it wasn't the real Express, it was Graphia's attempt at fixing it. And the imaginated Himeko found it when it was already crashed. Both of them finding the Express for the very first time, just both of them telling their own side of the story, because Himeko is two different people. But anyway, the imaginated Himeko and the human Himeko would both work on the Express together, and this is why Ryusuke would find the manuscripts of both of their handwriting together, because they were both working on the train together. With Graphia, of course, doing all that she could to help as well. And this is why her name is blocked out in Himeko's story 4. I can't prove it, but something about Himeko saying, "But I've experienced far less than what you've been through," and supposedly Graphia replying, "No, I've never experienced the things you have," just sounds like something she would say. Graphia is 100% the humble and caring type that would say this. She also says, "It wasn't bad luck that led you down this path, but wanderlust and curiosity, because Graphia was there when Himeko found the train and was helping her this entire time. It's all there. The motive, the means, the results, everything but the direct confirmation." And mark my words, I think this will all be confirmed in 4.4, and Sparksy spoiled it all with her stunt in 4.0, proving the concept for a self-portrait fusing with its artist being possible. I may be crazy, I may be way off, I might even be right, but this is the full evolution of Himeko revealed. I do not condone playing a drinking game and taking a shot every time I say Himeko in this video. Do not do that. Anyway, right when you guys thought I gave up on theorizing about this red-haired lady, here I come right back with the spiciest theory thus far. You will never predict my next move. I admit that I took a ton of liberties, and I could be super far off from the truth. This is very much a shot in the dark, but it is so much fun to talk about that I just had to share it with you guys just to get it off my chest. Once again, Sparkle spoils the story in a way that none of us can really pick up on until later on. Well played. Nihilux too, she keeps spoiling stuff herself, and I gotta make a video on her because I think she might be aha. What do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, y'all.